Welcome to Wednesday, the 13th of September 2023. My name is Kwame Owusudan. So this is Good Morning Africa. This segment is the newspaper review segment. And you know what we do here? We try to do proper post-mortem analysis of all the relevant issues we have tabled for our conversation. And we deal with African stories as well as some domestic stories. And when I talk about domestic stories, I'm referring to stories emanating from Ghana. So it's important that you share with us what your views are via Facebook and YouTube and WhatsApp line, which is active as I speak to you now. I'm privileged and honored to have in the studios with me Honorable Suhini, who is the Member of Parliament for Tamale North constituency. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kwame.
It's a pleasure always having you on the show.
Same here.
Birthday boy!
That's related.
So yeah, enjoy. You have to celebrate the birthday throughout the year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So today's
then it means I have to learn from you. And since you are going to be teaching, you'll be sponsoring as I put the notes.
Saka Salia is a member of the MPP's communications team. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
It's been a while. How is school?
Yeah, everything is okay.
School is treating you well?
Yeah, very well.
Which year now? Final year?
No.
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
All right. Okay. Very soon you'll finish.
Yeah.
I'm honorable. Is Hamza back?
He came briefly.
And then he went back.
And then
he didn't even look for me.
Oh.
Yeah, Hamza.
I can't answer that question.
Hamza.
I can't continue that conversation.
Hamza. Hamza, how many times did I call you?
Yeah.
Anyway,
he came for our mom's funeral and
Right.
then went back.
Okay.
Came back with the family for, I think, 2 weeks. And he's since returned.
But I hope he's going to come back for...
Yes,
you know
definitely.
what I mean?
Definitely. He's going to be here for the campaigns, if that's what you mean.
No, the other one.
Yes, he'll be here for...
Very well. Outrage as Zimbabwe president names son as minister. Ghanaian Times newspaper. Leaked tape saga. I am innocent of all allegations. IEGP tells committee more MPP boys switch camp to Baumia amidst Alan's withdrawal from flag bearer race. There's this interesting story here, and I don't know why the producers didn't pick it, but I'm going to discuss it anyway. It's on the front page of the Republic newspaper. OSP chases Dapa cash files motion to allow seizure. So these are the topics that we've tabled for our conversation this morning. And like I told you before, kindly share with us what your thoughts are, and let's try and have a very wonderful show this morning. Now, let me start with you, Saka Salia, on this matter. Zimbabwe, it appears the issues in Africa are analogous. Like you find one in Ghana, you find the same thing in Zimbabwe, you find the same thing in Guinea-Bissau, where even I think the president appointed his own son as the vice president, Equatorial Guinea, I mean. So it appears the problems are the same across the continent, Saka Salia.
Yeah, Kwame, thank you very much. Good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to the MPP fraternity, the president, the vice president, who is also our presumptive flag bearer. And happy belated birthday to my brother, Suhini.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Kwame, when I saw this topic, the Zimbabwe president appoint his son as a minister. Well, I mean, I was very angry. I was tinged with disappointment. Disappointment in the sense that I know, Africa presidents have always disappointed all of us. Taking into consideration the fact that we are one of the most deprived continents, even though we are rich in natural resources. I did not expect, especially in Zimbabwe, because we have seen the level of decay in Zimbabwe over the years. We have seen the hard-heartedness with which Mugabe superintended over the affairs of Zimbabwe. We've seen how it culminated in the depreciation of their currency to the level of zero. We have seen all the bad things that happen. We have seen the backwardness of Africa. And one would have thought that by now we would have learned lessons. And we would have made good governance be the guiding principle in our democratic journey. But I'm saying this thing because it might not be unconstitutional to appoint your son as a minister. But if you look at it, I mean, in terms of the morality, in terms of the fact that your son is not the most qualified person in the whole of Zimbabwe, in terms of the fact that if you see, if you want to govern the people, you need to let the people understand where you are going. You need to carry them along, and all that. You mentioned other presidents, even your beloved, what do you call it, president, Paul Kagame himself actually appointed his daughter as one of the advisors in his presidency. We've seen, Guinea-Bissau, we've seen other places. And this particular, what's the name? Mnangagwa. Apart from even the son, he appointed a nephew also in the government as the son. Well, I mean, is it a finance minister, and then a deputy finance minister, and others. And apart from even the son, the nephew, he appointed a man and the wife in his cabinet. So, and out of 26 cabinets, you have 26 ministers. Already, you have about 4 that are coming from one family. And I think it's so disappointing. We have seen these things over and over. I know people will mention other countries where such things happen. But you see, even in Ghana, in time past, we've seen President Kufuor appoint the brother. But such appointment, nobody can even say anything about it because it was so deserving. Because the brother was in the same pedestal as he himself. The brother contested even the presidential primaries with him and all that. And the brother's standing in the party was as huge as himself. And therefore, you have 1 or 2 cases that you cannot falter the president. But in many of those cases, it's just about nepotism. It's about let me stock the party in my cabinet. Because the son or the nephew could have served in other areas in the development of the country other than being ministers. For instance, the son, for instance, got to parliament not on merit, just by appointment through the youth a wing or some concession that they gave to the youth of Zimbabwe. Then they push him there, he got to parliament, they're straight to minister. As if without them, the country cannot, and especially where Zimbabwe is coming from. One would have thought they would have tapped into all the best brain in Zimbabwe in order for them to fasten the pace of development. But if you are governing and then you decided that you allow Nepotism and other consideration, to take the better part of your selection into your government, I think that the worst is even yet to come. And we are not praying that Zimbabwe should go through that. Because even with Mugabe, with all his negatives, I mean, the negatives was about longevity. But we did not see some of these things. It was during the embers of his, the ending, the embers of his regime that we saw the wife take a stronghold of his governance, and that brought his eventual, overthrow, so to speak. But for me, I think that this thing is becoming one too many, where people have the penchant to appoint their blood relations who might otherwise not even qualify. And to that extent, I think that I condemn this whole act or decision of Namamwa.
Listen this way.
No, I want the real name.
Nangagwa.
I condemn it, especially this is the second term. This is he just won his second term, and I think that once you have won your second term, you should be able to ingrain in the people your footprint or your legacy. But it's like, okay, this is the second time. Let's go and joke. Let's go and amass wealth. Let's go and do something else. I think that is very bad. I am thankful that it is not happening in Ghana. We have a president that is well focused. Somebody will go and mention the president's daughter, but that is not a ministerial position and all that. It's just an expertise that she has, and then she was asked to play a part. But that is not a ministerial position and all those things. But I'm talking about ministerial positions where people just decided that, oh, Massa, we should not look beyond our noses. The family line must be in cabinet, and they should, be the people that should govern till the end of the term. And I think that is very condemnable.
Okay. Are you referring to Kenneth Orata? Because what are you saying?
No, I'm not referring to
Okay. I thought you were referring to I was confused.
No, you see, you remember I mentioned, you remember I mentioned Kufuor's brother,
Absolutely.
Ado Kufuor. Kenneth Orata, you remember? I mean, he's standing in MPP. Whichever president, would have taken the reign of government.
Would have still appointed him.
Because of his standing.
Very
because you see, Ghana situation might be different, because if we go into history, then our immediate past, I can mention to you families. They are like tetes and they are lions. I have a whole list, but you see, those are not the things that we are supposed to be talking about today. We are talking about Zimbabwe and all those things that happen.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping
you drew the connection and sought to advance an argument that suggests that there's some symbiotic relationship, in terms of the appointment that we make on the continent. And that's why I asked you that question. It's
a question that everybody asks.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, especially those who want to play mischief, ask. You see, they think that maybe Kenneth Orata got that position by dint of being a close relative of the president.
Okay.
But I gave you the exception.
Okay. All right.
To every rule, there's exception.
Very well.
And I told you that there are certain times that you cannot but choose a certain person irrespective of the blood relations with the president.
Let me say a special good morning to Mr. Ali Seidu of Maripoma. You're doing a very, very good job, and you have a lot of well wishes. So a special good morning going out to you. I know that your friends and some of your colleagues are watching. So extend greetings to Mr. Ali Seidu, CEO of Maripoma, who has been doing all the roads and things like that in Greater Accra.
Let me just end. See, I just told you, but the problem with the Zimbabwean is that those that have been appointed have no experience at all. People who just finish university.
Very well.
They haven't even done national service.
Very well.
And then you
Thank you.
Straight away.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cabinet.
Thank you.
I think that is really good.
Well, let me remind you that we are streaming live on Facebook. So for those of you who are driving, you can simply just, connect your phone to your car's Bluetooth and listen to the conversation. Let me bring in Honorable Suini right now, please.
Kwame, sometimes, well, let me also join you to say a very good morning to our big brother. Ali Seidu, wish him well.
Right.
I don't know why I send in a special good morning to him, but I just think that I agree with you that he's a
he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Fine gentleman. Inspires a lot of the youth, especially those who are into business, and may God continue to bless him.
Right.
Let me say good morning to my constituents, the very good people of the Tamale North constituency, and our viewers, and of course, good morning to Saka. And also say a very, very big thank you to all well-wishers. I mean, yesterday, the messages, the goodwill messages, the cakes, some of them, I don't know what to do with them. I am overwhelmed by the show of love and well wishes that came my way yesterday, and they still come in. I'm grateful. Thank you very much. God bless each and every one of us, and continue to guide us and grant us many more years in good health and wealth, of course.
Absolutely, it's important.
Yes. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
Africa seems to be cursed. And it is even worse when you listen to how we discuss the issues that, afflict us as a continent. Because we are told that knowing the problem, accepting that it's a problem, it's a big step towards resolving the problem. But when you listen to conversations about our problems in Africa, the parochial interests, the self-preservation, makes us deny what is true to our hearts. We know how we feel, but when it touches us, then we make excuses. And so because of that, we continue to go in circles. I mean, first of all, the man is 80 years. What's wrong with us? You had Mugabe in there, and like a lifetime, he was president for his lifetime. You eventually had to, I don't know, stage his exit. And this gentleman, Emerson, was vice president between 2014 and 2017. Served in various capacities in government, from minister for attorney general, minister, local government. He's done that 80 years. And you still think that he should decide the future that, all things being equal, he has no stake in. I mean, what's wrong with us? And then when they take power and they do things that border on senility, is that the word? They are senile. I mean, at that age, it's a blessing to get to that age. But the truth is that when you get to that age, diminishing returns begin to set in.
Yeah.
So when they are there and they are taking such decisions that border on, these things, then we act surprised. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us? I mean, of all the people in Zimbabwe, why did they even think that at this point in their life, like I said, they needed an 80-year-old person, all things being equal, to determine the future that he has no stake in? And so he gets power, and he's picking the notes from his contemporaries. And you listen to Saka. That's why I say the problem is even more when you listen to how we discuss our problems in Africa. He began on that fine note of identifying it as a problem, condemning it, discouraging others from doing it. Then he remembers that he has an interest. And his interest is that the man is almost in the same age bracket of the president he supports. and that's the Ghanaian president. And the man he supports in Ghana, also when he became president, appointed his cousin as finance minister. So if he also appoints his nephew and son, I have to be careful condemning it. The self-interest comes in, the parochial interest comes in, and the justifications and the shifting of the goalposts makes us miss the point that has to be made, and made strongly, that nepotism should not be encouraged in governance. What's wrong with us? Clearly, he is taking the cue from his contemporaries. His contemporaries, in this case being, unfortunately for us in Ghana, our president. Our president who promised us that nepotism was bad when he was campaigning to be president. You see the self-interest I'm talking about? When it touches us, then we shift and change the discussion, and we spoil the matter and deny the truth. That is known to our heart. Because when he was campaigning, even when his predecessor didn't do that, he accused him of doing that. And so on that basis, made a pledge to us in Ashanti region in Kumasi at their party congress that I will not run a friends and family government when I become president.
Yep.
He made that pledge. The truth. He admitted to, I won't do nepotism. And you know, when he comes to power, and then we give him a long list of appointees who are his family members, cousin finance minister, Nana Bediatu executive secretary. In fact, the interesting thing about Nana Bediatu, I don't know if you have found out. In fact, his father is in government. He's executive secretary. His father is in the government. He used to be at the Gimpa Council. I think he's now with one of the minerals, MIF or something. His father is in government. His mother runs the household of the president. So on public purse, his brother is there. And see, when Saka tries to justify it, then he talks about Hannah Tete and the sisters. Hannah Tete and the sisters were not related to the president too. Things may seem alike, but they're not the same. And if you don't get the differences, you miss it, because Hannah Tete was not the appointing authority. A president can decide to appoint one group of people, either at a workplace or at even one family. That's the president's decision, because he thinks maybe those people have. But when we speak of nepotism, we are talking about the person with the power of authority, giving it to family and, relations. That's what it is. So if the president appoints Hannah Tete, and John Mahama appointed Hannah Tete to one role, and appoints another sister to another role, and another sister to another role. The question is, are they related to President Mahama? No. Did Hannah Tete appoint the other two sisters? No. It's the power to appoint that you use to judge. Now, in the case of Danado, as I'm saying, his executive secretary is related to him. His executive secretary's father definitely will be related to him, right? His executive secretary's mother is related, right? And the brother is related. That's what we are talking about. The president came out after all that long list, including his daughter who was appointed to the creatives, and my brother says that, he has expertise. She had expertise. Who says that the Emerson's? Who says that Emerson's?
Yeah, novice. Straight from secondary school.
What was the track record of? And I have nothing against her. John Ford, what's her name? What was her track record in the creative industry before her appointment? What did she do?
Let's have a decent show.
What? No, really. I didn't intervene. I just took note. I mean, clearly, what was her track record in terms of, the creatives? Was he a musician? Was he managing any musician? Was he into film? Was he producing anything? Which show, fashion or whatever show, did she ever stage before her appointment? So where is the expertise that you are claiming she had before her appointment? Let's call a spade a spade. what is happening in Zimbabwe is shameful. It's not a standard that any other president should look up to. And if you have semblance of that in Ghana, face it. It's equally shameful and should not be encouraged.
No, why are you saying that even if the person has expertise, we shouldn't appoint by reason of that relational, that relationship with the president or whoever it is that makes the appointment? Is that what we are saying? Because tomorrow, former President Mahama may come back to being president. He may have maybe his brother, or his nephew or whatever it is, being an expert in a certain field, and he may decide to appoint that person into office. Must we say that because he's president, he cannot appoint his cousin or nephew, even if the person has the expertise to operate within that office?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so please explain what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that clearly there is that thin line between nepotism and corruption. Very thin line. And so when you begin to make the argument of people with expertise in a certain area and you are not careful, you are going to open the floodgates for people with authority to abuse it and justify it. That's why, as much as possible, nepotism is seen as one of the bad governance standards. And it is not defined that when you appoint one of your relatives with expertise, that's not nepotism. We are not told that. But people are reasonable enough to look at the circumstances and look at the characters involved and make a decision as to whether this is a fair appointment or not. So not until you are faced with that situation, it is not easy to call it nepotism that will lead to corruption or not. But as much as possible, we must discourage that abuse of power that leads to the empowering of people we have direct relationships with.
Oh no, but I have a difficulty.
We must discourage it.
I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you when you say we must discourage
Yes.
it. But I have a difficulty because tomorrow, if President Mahama becomes president and appoints Joyce Bawumia, who, by the way, is very, very resourceful, extremely, has, the wherewithal to be able to head whatever or wherever it is that they place there, must we condemn it? So, because we are saying that there's a thin line between nepotism and corruption. So even if she qualifies, which I believe she does, should we not?
So you see, that's why I was telling you about context.
Okay.
I was telling you about things looking alike but are never the same.
Well, you made that.
And how there's a need for us to, have conversations such as this with all that context in mind.
Right.
Joyce Bawumia, and without shifting the principle.
Right.
The principle is that, look, the principle is that nepotism must not be encouraged.
To every rule, there's an exception. The rule is that
Exactly,
it must not
in
be-
life.
Yes.
In life. So I'm saying that if you look at Joyce Bawumia, he is related to President Mahama. I mean, she's related to President Mahama. President Mahama has been a president before. President Mahama has appointed her before. What was her track record? Apart from that appointment, she came into government with
Expertise.
expertise. In fact, one of the best maritime lawyers that you have in Africa, not just Ghana. There are very few, because it is a small area of knowledge. She's one of the people that you can depend on when it comes to maritime law in Africa. So she came with that background. She was appointed as Deputy Transport Minister. How did she discharge her duties? The record is already there. So if President Mahama comes back and appoints such a person, there was no act of corruption, not even allegation leveled against her, or any abuse of her relationship with the president. Remember, as deputy minister, can you imagine? When people even just have influence with the president, they don't have to be deputy ministers to undermine ministers. But I'm saying that even with that relationship with President Mahama, when she was deputy minister till she left office, she had no problem with any of her bosses because she didn't abuse that relationship. So I'm saying that let us not encourage nepotism in this country. But like you put it, you look at an appointment, look at the people involved, and then decide if this encourages corruption or not. And I mean, in the case of President Akufo-Addo, first of all, he broke the principle when he did what he promised not to do. That's the first thing you must condemn. That's the first thing you must condemn. He promised us that he will not run a friends and family government. So for a man with honor, you don't expect him to do it. Now, he breaks that promise and then he does it. He appoints family members left, right, center, who clearly we can see are abusing the office. I mean, how many times letters have come from the president's secretary and later taken back because why? Charlie, the man, I'm just like the president because we share blood. You know, the finance minister, look at his businesses and how it has benefited and grown in leaps and bounds as finance minister. And how many times hasn't even his own party members said that this man is running us into a ditch and the president has looked elsewhere?
So the bottom line, thank you very much for establishing. The bottom line is that nepotism must not be encouraged because it breeds corruption.
Yes.
So that's the bottom line. That's the fundamental rule. But that's the rule of thumb. But there's an exception. He explained the exception from the NDC's perspective and why certain people are appointed when it's relevant to do so. You want to respond to a few things.
I was taken aback. Because he who comes to equity, who goes to equity must come with clear hands. My brother was telling me I was shifting the goalposts. He said, I started well, and then when it came to Ghana, when I remembered about Ghana, then I started shifting the goalposts and all that. He started well. When he remembered that John Dramani Mahama did same, he started shifting the goalposts, telling us that, Joyce Bauer Mukhtar, I've heard here, she's one of the best maritime lawyers. What was her achievement? It was abysmal. The achievement in office was abysmal. It's not about her academic credential. It's about the office she held.
If you say abysmal, what do you mean?
Abysmal. I mean,
explain.
It was during her time as deputy minister that we had the infamous bars branding and all those things.
Can you imagine?
Was it not during her period? The period that
deputy minister.
Yes.
What is the work of a deputy minister?
I am saying that it was her time that those sordid contracts was given.
We are educating the public.
Hear her name?
What was that whole discussion? It's not even about that.
I am saying
assuming that was even a bad thing. Assuming without admitting that it was a bad thing. I mean, the investigation report is there. But assuming without admitting that it was a bad thing. Did you hear her name in any of them?
Okay. No, you let me finish.
When I asked you more questions, you responded to them. I just want you to respond to it. He will interject again. Yes.
So I'm saying that it was during her period as deputy minister. I'm choosing my words very well.
Then I said, what is the job of a deputy minister?
The deputy minister works with the minister as the deputy to the minister.
So in the event that there's anything untoward in that ministry,
I mean, if your minister does something untoward, that even you are aware of it, and you cannot even advise the minister, let's do it A, B, C, D. Because you were a lawyer. The minister was not a lawyer.
How do you know the minister
entered into a very dubious contract with your party.
How do you know she didn't advise the minister? And the minister
she never told anybody that when they were doing all those things, she advised the minister didn't take. And I can also understand the reason why Sohini is saying that, if you appoint a particular family irrespective of whether they are 20 that you appoint from a family. Once the president is not related to that family, it's okay.
I didn't say it's okay.
Because he himself is one.
How?
During the period of the president.
Are you related to the president?
No, I'm saying.
I want to.
But you, I mean, you had dealing with the government when your mama was in power. Your brother equally. Am I lying?
So untrue.
Why? Why is it untrue?
But the man is here. Let him respond to it.
That's so untrue.
What do you mean by untrue? If you are a board member, are you not a member of that government? You were a board member. Your brother was a board member. So I can understand the reason why you want to distance that.
But you see the issue. You see, no, I think with the grace of respect. Hold on. Hold on, gentlemen. Saka, I think with the greatest of respect, I think you are just obfuscating the matter. Because we are talking about appointing family members.
I appointed Suini and his family members.
Are we related to the president?
That's the reason why I said I can understand the reason why. I can understand the reason why you are running away from taking in block members of a particular family.
You should.
But I think that it is also part of nepotism.
Define nepotism.
No, it's
part of it.
It's part of nepotism. Nepotism is not only when the president, because look, maybe one family actually convinces the president to take the others, so that they can have influence over the government. So when we talk of nepotism, it does not really mean, because every member of government has influence. And if one member decides that let me pack the government with my family members, or let me lobby the government so that they pack the government with my family members, it is nepotism.
I think we need to proceed.
That's what we are talking about.
Thank you very much. WhatsApp number is active. You can share with us what your thoughts are. We're still here in the studios with Honorable Suini and Saka Salia. We just dealt with an African story, which I believe was discussed from a Ghanaian perspective, because, like I told you, there's always a certain symbiotic relationship between all the African countries in respect of governance. So yes, this is no exception. We have tried to look at the issues. We have definitely, obviously, agreed on certain levels and agreed on certain levels. So the basic rule is that nepotism in governance is bad and it may lead to corruption. However, there are some exceptions, and you both agree that there are some exceptions. Things may seem alike, but they are not what it is. So, so thank you guys for that. But Honorable, I'm coming to you. Yesterday, I listened briefly to the IGP. First of all, I was opposed to the invitation extended to the IGP to appear before the probe, because I thought that he has such a big and daunting task to, and with the great respect to the committee, I mean, to appear before the committee and to spend the number of hours he did, because something could have happened, anything could have happened, whilst he was there. Even though, yes, he has deputies, etc., but when it comes to taking certain decisions, he is the key person. So I was opposed to it. I felt that it was not needed. Even though, yes, he was the one they were talking about, the real question for me was the plot to remove him, and that should have ended there. Extending beyond the boundaries of what was stated or said by COP Mensah and the superintendent, for me, they didn't, in my estimation, didn't require the invitation of the IGP. But nonetheless, my voice doesn't go to the market, so he was invited. Now, I listened to his opening remarks before I tuned off, where he stated that he had been in the office for long. I mean, he's been in the service for a longer period of time, more than all the other people who are even alleging that he doesn't merit the office. And he stated a few other things. He had distinction here and there. The job was very, very nice in the introductory part. Now, if you look at how the questions were asked, first of all, I'll allow you to give us an overview, since you perhaps appreciate the parliamentary process and things like that. But there was an objection raised by his counsel. And the objection raised by his counsel was in several folds. One of them was that the people who had made the allegations were not supposed to be in the in that sitting to witness the IGP give his testimony, because when they were giving their testimony, the IGP was not there. of course, it was rejected by the chairman of the committee. And I found that, in my estimation, I didn't think it was fair on the part of the chairman to have done that. But they went ahead and did that. And, several other objections were raised. Those issues were dealt with. And then, the committee, through its chairman, said the IGP should testify. In fact, they asked the lawyer if his client was ready to give his testimony, which happened. Now, for purpose of education, before we come to the substantive matters, is that how the work of the committee is done in respect of matters where an objection, an initial preliminary objection has been raised in respect of certain fundamental, procedural rules governing the committee's work?
Well, you've raised a number of issues, so I'll deal with this last question
Very well.
As I progress with my submissions.
Very well.
I agree with you that to some extent the committee has to be careful that it does not go beyond its terms of reference, because it's a committee of parliament that was set up by Mr. Speaker, and as a result of a petition raised by the deputy minority leader, Honorable Bua. And that committee was given a terms of reference. Now, I have watched the proceedings a couple of times when Bugri Nabo was there, and then Alex Mensah and one other officer, I think
the superintendent?
The superintendent. Yeah. I've watched it a couple of times, and I noticed that there is the tendency for some of the witnesses to take the committee outside the terms of reference. And I have had cause to even draw attention of some committee members to that temptation to take them out of their terms of reference, because this committee was to look at a recording involving senior officers of the police, in which a plan was supposed to be hashed or promoted to remove the IGP, to enable a political party in government to retain power, because the presence of the IGP could not,
allow for that to happen.
So it is not about the police administration and the running of the whole police administration. No. So when you have witnesses trying to draw the committee into promotions and how promotions are delayed, it has nothing to do with whether the IGP is anti-break the 8 and must be removed or not, because that was what the terms of reference was about. It was about the rigging of an election, a plot to rig an election with a pliant or a compliant IGP. That was the crux or the foundation on which the committee was set up. So to some extent, if you were going to follow that, you would have thought that then there's no need to invite the IGP, because clearly he didn't have anything to say about whether his presence there will enable people break the 8 or not and must be removed and shouldn't be there. Because that discussion was not about how he's running the police service, but we have seen it being introduced in this discussion, trying to sidestep the main issue. Now, given that some of the witnesses denied aspects of the recording, and according to my information, enabled the committee to get another tape that has either an extended, recording of the whole issue, I can understand why the committee will want to say, okay, based on our hearings and because it is a fact-finding committee, so if they if new information comes to them, it will only be appropriate for them to test that information, the credibility of that information. And if that new information suggests that the IGP had a role to play in the whole setup, then you can understand why the committee will want to validate that new information by hearing from the IGP. So in that context, I can understand why they invited the IGP. And maybe this is not related to the hearing, but it came up yesterday.
Right.
And it has to do with the interdiction of these officers. I fault the IGP seriously for that one. Because when the tape came out, yes, he was the subject matter of that tape. It shouldn't have disabled him from acting.
Absolutely.
I think immediately he should have set up an in-service inquiry. He should have. Or what they call it, service inquiry, right? He should have set that up immediately. And based on that inquiry, he could have interdicted these officers, pending the outcome of that inquiry. Maybe if he did that, Parliament wouldn't have even had any cause to, request for a committee to be set up. Or we still would have, just to complement the service inquiry.
Very well.
But clearly, I think he was frozen into inaction because he was named in it, and so he did nothing. So to interdict them at a time that the hearing had started before Parliament, and some of the officers were now making him their target, the interdiction didn't look good. Yes, yesterday he explained that he had nothing to even do with the interdiction, which for me again was not too good. That's irresponsible. You are still the boss of the institution. So you don't say because so one of them is your senior brother, and then you have a relationship with them and your name is mentioned, you stop taking action. No, you're still the boss. You still should lead. But he said he's decided to, recuse himself, and he allowed the team to handle it, and they came about with the interdiction and later took it back. It just wasn't handled well. I think it could have been handled better. Now, the objection that was raised by his lawyer yesterday, in my view, was fantastic.
It was valid. Yeah, it was valid.
It was an intelligent position to take.
Yeah.
And I had cause to even engage with the chairman of the committee yesterday, and I made it clear to him that the committee's purpose is to facilitate witnesses to make their point.
Absolutely.
And not to make a point to those appearing before them, because clearly the chairman was so fixated
On having the people present.
on making a point that there is no injury done to the IGP if the people were present. That is not your duty as a committee. You don't make a point to them. If they come and they say that, look, this doesn't look good for us, as far as the point we are about to make is concerned, your duty is to facilitate it for them to make the point.
Absolutely.
And clearly, like the lawyer kept asking, if you are saying no injury will be done to us, what injury will be done to them if they also go and watch it on TV, like we also watch them on TV? Because clearly the IGP also watched them on TV. And you see, what was lost on the chairman, and I made that point to him when we had a private conversation, was that don't underestimate what I can say about you, Kwame, when you are not in a room.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you getting it?
Because if the IGP were present, I'm not sure
Yes.
COP Minister would have said what he
Yes.
said.
So don't underestimate. Don't think that your presence, when I'm appearing as a witness, psychologically, will have nothing, on me.
Yeah, of course, it would.
So if I appear as a witness and I say that the previous witness appeared in my absence, and so I also want to give my testimony in his absence, no injury will be caused anybody. So I think that the chairman of the committee had it wrong when he underestimated the injury that could have come to the IGP when he had to give his testimony in the presence of his accusers. No, I think that he got it wrong. Psychologically, it has an effect. You can't dismiss that.
Then he made reference to
You can't dismiss
a plaintiff and a defendant, and saying that the defendant in the matter must not be present in court when the plaintiff is testifying.
Yeah.
And I thought that was that was also flawed because
Yeah.
when the defendant was also making his testimony, giving his testimony in court, the plaintiff was not there.
So I think that the lawyer's objection was cogent. Yes, I think that I'm not surprised. He is a fantastic,
is brilliant
person to listen to and to read, and I was impressed with his objection and the way he presented his witness. And now the IGP. I mean, I read a number of reviews on social media, and I couldn't have agreed with some of them even more. Like someone said, I'm dumpified. I mean, he was super. And for the first time, I am willing to concede that I now understand and appreciate why perhaps the appointing authority skipped the people who thought they were more loyal to the MPP and deserved that appointment and chose him. I am impressed, and I can understand why the appointing authority will know that, and maybe George, what's his name? COP George
Mensah.
Yes, Alex Mensah. I think he should go and listen to his submission and listen to the IGP and lie on his pillow and ask himself, if he was the president and he had IGP position to give, which of the two characters he would have given it to? Despite the fact that he is more loyal, he thinks he's more loyal to the MPP. I mean, every president wants to have his peace of mind, regardless of, and there are already too many problems to solve. So if you all come with
your CVs,
your character will follow it. And your level of maturity and understanding and approach to issues will follow it. And so the appointing authorities will weigh and maybe will give you high marks for being more MPP. But that's what he's claiming. He will give you more marks for being more MPP. But at least if he is a reasonable appointee who wants his peace of mind, especially with the security agencies, the one who doesn't tick the box as more MPP but may still have some sympathies, but it's more professional, it's more
Ghanaian,
patriotic, it's more it's cooler, it's measured. I mean, it's discipline. From there, you check their body language, you could just tell which of the two officers look like a real gentleman. And you know the officers are gentlemen. They're supposed to be. So check their, and so that's why I'm saying that, and not only Alex Mensah, I think service officers, honestly, whether in the military or in the Ghana Police Service, must take these two videos and learn. They must learn how not to be an Alex Mensah and how to be a Dampare. Even under pressure, I mean, his coolness was admirable. Even under provocation, he showed that he was a bigger person. He showed intellect. He showed, focus and determination, and proved that he's a better leader. I listened to the two of them. That's why I'm able to make this comparison. He showed that he was a better leader. And people who have followed my discussions, the IGP has not always come, I've not always given him these flowery, words. I think that he's a fine police officer, but there have been some things that he has done that I have criticized heavily. Because sometimes I find them needless. I find them populist. But on this score, it is clear who the bigger person is, even before the committee finishes its sittings. So I don't know what is going to happen next, especially we are told some of the hearing will be done in camera.
Yeah.
But the IGP appeared more convincing than all the other witnesses that have appeared so far. And for me, that shows that he's a bigger person in all of this debt throwing, because that's what it looks like. So you would have thought that he will also come there, mat slinging and all of that.
Let's look at the line of questioning before I come to Mr. Salia. The line of questioning, I mean, from the chairman to the other members of the committee. Was this something that came across you as one that is seeking to elicit specific answers in relation to the borders of their mandate? Did you find that?
So that is where I am
Yes.
saying that
Yeah.
I've had cause to say that I think that the committee may be getting out of their terms of reference.
Because
And
there was a question about
because
promotion
yes,
and things
I
like
mean
that.
people who have
Those are
graduated,
collateral, yeah.
yes, people who have graduated and they have not been promoted up to now. I mean, those are not the reason why and it wasn't a vetting. You know, if it is a vetting, you know, for a position, you know, those things can come up. But you have a specific mandate to deal with a specific issue. So you'll expect the questions to be tailored towards those issues that you are supposed to determine in the course of your inquiry. And even when witnesses introduce tangential matters, the committee must be able to, you know, bring them back onto the issue. But somehow they have been flexible and they have allowed too many things to be introduced into the committee's work. And it is going to become very difficult for them to, you know, write their report and conclude on the specific issues that they were set up to
One of our
investigate.
lawyers, my lecturers would say, you went to town. Frolic of your own.
Thank you.
Aaron says, good morning, Kwame. Why would they drag the IGP to appear before this committee? There's no sense in it. These are some of the evil plans by the MPP to subvert the will of Ghanaians, but they will definitely fail. They want to do everything in their powers to remove the IGP in order for the EC and the security services to ruin the elections in their favor. But Allah is watching. JM 2024, inshallah. Hey, Ghana and politics. Let me read a few messages. I'll give you the time you need. It was very wise and justified to invite the IGP to clear his name, since he was mentioned and accused in the video by his subordinates. What is Saka telling us? The current president has more than 50 family and friends in his government. Okay, so Saka, let me come to you on this subject matter. What do you have to say to it?
Yeah, Kwame.
Yes, sir.
I think that my brother Shane took the whole time.
Oh,
So
I'll allow you.
I have few minutes.
No, you have you have time. Go.
Okay.
I watched it.
I'm not doing it. So I'm not doing commentary.
Has just said he will give you less.
So you are still taking. You are still taking. No problem.
Saka, you're back. You see, you are creating a.
No problem. You see,
You go ahead.
Kwame,
Yes, sir.
I think that, with all due respect to this committee, this is one of the most useless committees ever. Because, look, when you look at the committee, terms of what are their terms, it's so nebulous. You don't even know what they are doing there. I'm telling you, Kwame, I want to be honest with you. If some group of people are sitting down and are talking about maybe their superior, what they are saying, they are not saying they are going to use gun to overthrow anybody. Let me even say that some are even stretching their luck too far. That is alleged to be wishing to be IGPs. And I'm meeting somebody who do not even have the powers to even do anything. What the people were doing has nothing to do with subversion of constitution or anything about the Ghana Police Service. They are just bad mouthing their superior. It could be true or it could be false. We are going to investigate them so that what they were saying, if it is true, and so what? If it is false, and so what? And besides, it's not as if they mounted the public platform to talk, for which it is somebody that leaked what they are talking about. So in other words, they were not talking to the public. All that they were saying was in the comfort of their offices or somewhere. So I mean, so what are we investigating? To the extent that now it looks as if the whole police service is under investigation. The work of the police is under investigation. That's the reason why sometimes I don't get it when branches of government stretch their duties too far. We have even amplified this matter as if Ghana is under siege, as if our security is under threat, just because somebody met with Buguri Nabu and they were dreaming big. And yesterday's appearance of the IGP actually broke the biscuit. Because I didn't understand why a whole IGP should even appear there and not in camera, but to the full glare of the public, and he was being subjected to I mean, I don't get it. I just don't get it. This committee, I don't get it. The committee has not, you see, when Sweden was talking, he says that they were supposed to, these people were planning, to remove the IGP for a particular party to take power, a plot to rig election. No. These people, because maybe, that's the reason why I say that they were stretching their luck to a level that that is undeserving. Maybe if I want something from you, I will have to embellish my positives. If I'm not even a UP person, I will tell you, oh, give it to me. I mean, when I come, you bring your 8. Go and tell the appointed authority that I'm UP. I'm not saying he was UP or not, but I'm saying that don't take into consideration what somebody says, even in an interview or whatever. The person wants to make his case so that he will be considered. This is not removal. This is not plugging to a plotting to rig an election. When we say plotting to rig an election, there has to be preparation. Am I lying? There has to be preparation. You have to see the tools. You have to see things that they are not supposed to even have in execution of their intention. So I see this whole thing as innocuous. I see it as people who were being ignorant, so even sometimes, so to speak, of some of the issues that they were talking about. Then you bring an IGP, then the negative side of the IGP was also exposed to the public and to the rest of the world. An IGP that was very emotive, an IGP that did not show manly, that did not show the characteristics of an IGP. He broke down in the face of trivialities. He broke down. I mean, IGP crying, that's breaking down. Weeping. Okay, let me use the word. Wept.
He was emotional.
He wept.
It's human nature.
No, you see, but you see,
I didn't
in
see
the face
that
of
part of the weeping. I
noticed
that.
there are so many things that you will see.
The truth is that I listened to it more on radio.
Okay.
So
Because I was moving
you should
around
watching the
and
TV
listening
too.
to it.
Yes, you should start.
I
watching
didn't.
TV. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It exposed the IGP it shows that even he has no equanimity. No equanimity in the face of labeling him incompetent and all those things. One would have thought that when he comes there, he will show that, yeah, I am competent. I can withstand all pressure and all that. He came and then, you know, he broke down. Now I think that you won't disagree with that. So he came and broke down, crying like a baby. And that is the exposure I didn't like. And some people disagree with some of the things that he said, including multi-ethnic and all those things that defy Article 17 of the Constitution, all those things. But I think that it all has to do with even the formation of that committee. I am saying without missing words that the committee is one of the useless committees that has ever been set up to investigate public officers, because these public officers did not flout any law of the country. They were not in a subversion of the Constitution. They were not doing anything in furtherance of the objective of the MPP. Indeed, even if they, because I mean, some of them were purporting to be MP, they are saying that they have the UP tradition and all those things. Even if they have the UP tradition, they have not had any meeting with the MPP. Whatever that they were doing, they were in a frolic of their own. And therefore, to say that, oh, because these people were saying that, let's go and lobby. Like I called my friend and said that, Charlie, let's go and lobby, maybe we can get the IGP job. Then you say, come to a committee, come and talk. Why you want the job? Because they did not say that they want to overthrow IGP. So, I mean, what is all this investigation about? That the whole nation is, the attention of the whole nation is on this, bringing the IGP, summoning people. I mean, I don't get it. Somebody should educate us that this is the reason. That because Srini was saying that when the IGP appear more convincing than the others, more convincing, so that at the end of the day we win what? At the end of the day we will believe him over the others, so that what will happen? No, Kwame, he appear more convincing, so it means that the people lie. So if the people lie, we are going to prosecute them for lying. And especially when they are, I think Alex Mensah will be going on retirement on the 17th, and today is the 13th of. Yeah, so in 4 days' time or so, he will no longer be a policeman. And we are wasting our time, and then precious time that we can use for productive purposes.
I respectfully disagree with you on when you say that we are wasting our time probing these matters, because it also hinges on the discussions relative to how we have politicized our security agencies. So when we look at it from that perspective, then it's not a foolish committee which has been set up to investigate these matters, because we ought to decouple politics from security agencies. And if you look at the conversation, if you listen to the content of that leaked tape, the conversation revolves around politics and how we have politicized, our security agencies, and how somebody felt, and as Suyini said, that he was more MPP than another person, and therefore he deserved to be the IGP. So we need to get to the bottom of it so that we find ways in which we can decouple politics from the security agencies. No, it's important.
No, I'm not disagreeing.
Now, in that tape, makes mention of the fact that because IGP Dampare is at post, it is preventing the police people who are supposedly aligned to the MPP to do things which will ensure the victory of the MPP, going into 2024. That is also very important.
No. He's
So with respect,
is it a question or a contribution?
I'm not. do I sound? You're a law student. When I make such statements, you know that I'm asking you a question.
Okay.
So listen to me.
Because it's too long.
Because it's too long. Saka, we are speaking.
Yeah, you are.
So we need to give them the basis. Let's have a very.
Yes.
At least give me the respect as your senior.
I give.
I'm your senior.
Oh, Charlie.
So Saka, please, let's look at the conversation within that context. Flip the coin. If it were that conversation which ensued between Bugre and Abu and COP Mensa were in favor of the NDC, what would you have said?
No,
flip the coin.
No, you see, I think.
Just let me help him.
Oh no! Let me answer
this conversation was had with a COP with Azoka, Chairman Azoka, who's also a former Northern Regional Chairman.
So that's the flip side of I understand you well.
In the context of former Northern Regional, assuming that a COP,
the police,
was in conversation,
assuming the NDC was in power, and a COP went to Azoka, who is a former Northern Regional Chairman, like Bugre is a former Northern Regional, MPP Chairman, and was having this conversation, how would you have felt? And you were preparing for the 2016 elections. How would you have felt?
So let's look at that. The flip side.
Don't belittle some of these things.
Can't you let me talk? I like your comparison. I mean,
Saka, you have 3 more minutes. Yeah.
Oh, 3 more minutes.
Yeah, you've spoken for 15 minutes now.
Kwame.
Oh, Master.
Let me
once
talk.
you didn't finish, go ahead.
Right, it was even 10.
First of all, you see, it's not as if the accusers are not aware that the police service is supposed to be apolitical. They are aware. Everybody in the police service is supposed to be apolitical. Even when you are a bodyguard or a AD come to a politician, you are supposed to discharge your work as a security person. You are not linked with them, because one of the accusations was, oh, this person served as AD camp to Akar, Professor Mills, and all those things. The people are aware. It's just that, you see, when they meet with a politician, they want to sugarcoat and let the politician know that they are more inclined to doing their bidding than the other person. It's not as if they are not aware. And for me, what people, if maybe within the police service, they are called, oh, were you the people who said A, B, C, D? They said, okay, yeah, we said it. What is your reason? It's different for us to go and set a committee, a parliamentary committee, just because we want to prove that, oh, for the police service is not supposed to be political. You go and set a parliamentary committee, bring people on live TV for days, waste everybody time, and you come and sit here and you want to justify that just for educating somebody who pretend not to know that the police service is not supposed to be political. So we should let the whole nation, go through some of these things. I think that, it is neither here nor there. The committee work is completely out of place, and what is happening, the people who were seeking to be appointed, if that is true, even if that were true, did not do anything wrong. But the last point I would make is that the current IGP,
they didn't do anything.
what did they do? What did they do? Were they planning to kill somebody?
Please proceed.
You see, the current IGP, it's not as if the president didn't know the background of the current IGP. That's the reason why the national security minister will also be appearing. The president knows everything, the history of Dampare and all those things. So if some people think that, oh, they know even the man more than the national security that investigated his background, and therefore they are now coming to tell the president, tell the government that this person that you appointed had dealings with A, B, C, and D. I think the president, you see, when this matter came, the interior minister came to parliament and said that the government has nothing, no intention of removing the IGP. If the government has no intention of removing the IGP, why do we even go into this whole thing of doing this, public investigation?
It's important again because, and maybe Suyini will respond, my time is actually up. you respond to a few things. I'll give
Just quickly.
But I just wanted to draw your attention to Ayawaso, where DSP Azuku, who is a police officer, was alleged to have been involved in which actions led to the maiming of some civilians who decided to, embark on their constitutional right and actually, go out to vote, etc., etc. So when it comes to some of these conversations, right, it is important that we get to the bottom of it. I am not saying that we can all be apolitical. Obviously, you must belong. All of us belong to political. We have ideology. Yeah. But the service that my father was a police officer, worked in for over 40 years, is defined as service with integrity. That's their motto. So you may be an NDC member, you may be an MPP member, you may be CPP, but once you put on that uniform, integrity is expected, and you must act in ways that suggest that you are more Ghanaian than being an MPP member or being an NDC member. And that, for me, is the crux of the committee's work that they are doing.
Let me tell Saka that.
Never underestimate the strength of a man with tears in his eyes. Tears in the eyes of a man is not proof of his weakness. Be careful. I'm telling you, in this life,
Obasaka has cried.
be careful. Look, you will be taken by surprise by the strength and the resistance of a man, with tears in his eyes. Don't see it as weakness.
They are strong.
I'm not saying that it is necessarily strength, but I'm saying that don't see a man with tears in his eyes as a sign of weakness. You will be surprised. But I'm just saying that, sometimes some people, that's the way their emotions are bottled up. And especially, you see, when you want to prove you are a bigger man, there are a lot that you are containing. And you are restraining yourself so much that it can turn into tears out of your eyes, because you are restraining yourself. I know this because I've felt it many times. I've felt it many times, so I know it.
Don't others express this through smiles.
Yes. So, but you see, I am shocked that my brother here thinks that it's much ado about nothing. Look, if for nothing at all, there's a need to use this to serve as an example for people in the service, especially people in the service who have been put in there by politicians.
Not to talk.
No, not to talk, but to be professional despite their political biases. Are you getting the point? Use this to serve, because we know that of late it is the trend. Politicians are putting men in uniform, or uniform of men. It is something they brag about. MPs brag about it. Ministers brag about it. How many people they have gotten into the police service. But this, for me, can be an example, if we use it, if we take it well, to show them that it shouldn't matter who took you to that service. Your loyalty is to the state and not to your political party. Because clearly, COP Alex Mensah and co. were trying to showcase their loyalty to their party as reason why they should be IGP.
No, but that wasn't the only reason.
Now, the terms of reference of the committee, I'll just give you, if you permit me, just six. One was the authenticity of the leaked audio recording.
So that.
Are you getting it? That is why I said that if you were looking at the first recording, there would have been no need to invite the IGP. But I can understand why some of the witnesses' remarks and the fact that there's a second tape suggesting that the IGP set up this, don't forget, would have become the reason why the IGP may have to appear. Because you need to authenticate the audio and find out if it is really a true recording. Who did it? Bugri Nabo says he did it. Another person says that's not all that you have released. Somebody too says the IGP set it up. So you need all the people to listen to them, because they're fact finding. The second one is investigate the conspiracy to remove the current Inspector General of Police. Because that is the conspiracy they were speaking of. That the president plans to change the IGP. And so let's go and lobby for the position. And our bargaining chip is that if we allowed him to remain in power, we can break the 8. So you need people like us to help you break the 8. Whether you win or you don't win, we will have a way of helping you get the
conspiracy to remove IGP anyway.
That was in the conversation. I'm talking about the terms of reference.
For the I know. The terms of reference is coming from nowhere. It's in vacuum. Because
investigate any other matter contained in the audio recording, recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate, make recommendations for reforms where necessary, and finally make sure other recommendations and consequential orders as the committee may deem appropriate.
Right.
Now, in that recording, there was that suggestion that the president wanted to change the IGP.
And so?
I lie?
So if the president wants to change
And so
do you want to do investigation?
wait, and that one of the reasons the president should use to choose them over the current IGP is that they can help them break the 8. You don't think there's a conspiracy to remove an IGP? I'm even surprised they didn't add conspiracy to rig election, because that could have also been a terms of reference. If you are there discussing the president's intention to remove an IGP,
he knows.
and giving reasons why the IGP, is that not conspiracy?
No, listen.
Is that not conspiracy?
No, that's not conspiracy.
Tell me what conspiracy
That's
is.
not conspiracy.
You are conspiring with a founding member of your party
From what you
to convince the president.
I'll come
Listen,
to you.
I'll come to you saying.
I'll give you your time.
Saka, you hear the commissioner of police, a commissioner of police, and other superintendents in a meeting with a founding member of a party in government. Yeah, Bogri now, is he not? Is he not one of your founding members? Is he not one of your founding members?
Yeah,
Are you disowning him now?
I know he was a former.
Because he's now a chief, you don't like his services as your party.
No, because he's not even no longer an APP. Because he's a chief. And chiefs are not supposed to meddle in politics.
So you are
I'm not disowning him.
all the sacrifices he's made for your party.
Oh, Massa.
Today you don't think he matters.
Oh, listen.
Okay, so I'll leave it to you. But the point I'm making is that look, you have a commissioner. Look at that Barry. He said it took him 24 years, right, to become a commissioner, and that is a record. Unprecedented, he said. So imagine how long usually
it takes people
to become a commissioner. So you don't take that position lightly. You would have accumulated a lot of experience in service to the motherland before you become a commissioner. You have a person like that, like you said, who is a few days away to his retirement. In a meeting with other superintendents of police officers with less positions have been part of coup d'etats in this country and elsewhere.
Yep.
You know that.
No, but this was not.
I'm not talking about, they were not targeting the president, they were targeting the IGP.
To overthrow the IGP?
What do you call it? What do you call that conversation? The intention of that conversation? The intention of that conversation.
So let me answer you.
Was what?
You yourself, you were saying that that they said that they have heard that the president wants to remove the IGP. So they are now coming to lobby for it.
So the intention of the meeting was
they are not conspiring.
Hold on.
They are only coming to lobby should the position become vacant.
No. In fact, in the conversation, yes, but in the conversation, you'll hear them make the point why the IGP should be changed.
They are.
And what was the point? So, because if he's not changed, we can't break the 8.
Who breaking the 8?
You
How can they? Because they are not party functionaries.
But he says he's a UP man.
That is what he said.
But he didn't deny it.
But he didn't. Whether or not that is true is another thing.
But the man himself has admitted.
That's what I'm saying.
So why are you here saying whether or not it's true?
Because
The man has admitted.
he wants to play the be.
No. You know
So that he will be considered.
Whether he was conspiring with falsehood or with truth, he was conspiring. That's the point. You don't run away. There was a conspiracy to get the IGP out because, in his view or in their view, with the IGP at post, they cannot break the
hold on. So when an accused person make admissions to certain issues, what happens?
No, you see?
No, when an admission is made,
it's done.
it's done.
No, it's not that. It is not everything that admission is made.
Massa, apart from murder and those things. But
But
is this murder? Is it a murder case? But the man has admitted.
Yeah.
When you admit, it is final. It is settled.
You can still go.
Even
besides murder, if maybe the admission is made through some means.
Master, was he coerced?
Maybe duress,
Was he coerced?
all those things. But I'm saying, but this is not an admission matter. This is not even a matter of
The
admission.
man admits that, and he said it. He said that.
The man said that even the man admits.
Saka, please.
If you say he admits, it means that
Saka.
somebody threw the
Saka.
allegation and he confirmed it.
Saka. Oh, why?
No, he made the allegation and confirmed
He
it
was speaking
under
to
oath.
a tape. A question was asked, and he said that today, tomorrow, forever, he will be a UP man. So that's an admission. Let's move on from there and discuss other relevant matters. I don't want us to.
No, I'm talking about conspiracy. That he's
So
talking
that wasn't a
about.
conspiracy.
I explained to him that there's no
What is
conspiracy.
a conspiracy?
Conspiracy is when you in cahoots with another person is planning to do something.
So what were they doing?
No, they are not. You yourself, in your explanation, you said that when they went to Bugurunabu, they said that they heard that the president wanted to remove the IGP.
And so they went to Bugurunabu to plan on how to facilitate that decision.
No. You said that they went to Bugurunabu
To plan.
when the IGP is removed, then they can be considered.
So what was the purpose
So
of that meeting?
they are not even planning to remove the person.
Was that meeting not aimed at facilitating the decision to remove the IGP?
According to you, the meeting is aimed at appointing them when the position is vacant.
So what was it? Wasn't a plan.
So they are not.
They were not sitting. They were not planning.
They are not planning.
They were not planning.
They are lobbying.
Honorable Saka will never agree with you.
They are lobbying.
Yeah, let me
His mind is made up and
No,
facts
it's
confuse
not
him.
as if my
mind is made up, so the facts will confuse you. I can
for instance,
understand.
I like Dampare. I like his modus operandi, and it's just that one or two excesses that I don't like. And I don't like even the way these people were doing their things. But that is for somebody to jump to that conclusion that what they said. It's just like when somebody said the president was in his pocket. The president is in his pocket.
But
There is difference between what somebody said and the
in
reality.
so many packets. We have
You
just found
understand?
out that
So there's a
only just
difference
one
between
packet
what
that
somebody
was
said and the reality and the truth. These guys, I told you, were doing everything to ingratiate themselves in the heart of the president, so that should the position become vacant, they will be considered. That is not plotting to remove IGP, and therefore, if the committee work is to investigate what do you call it, plots against IGP, it is coming from a vacuum. It's coming from nothing, and we cannot put something on nothing.
It's interesting how you make this point, and it may appear as though maybe I'm supporting the IGP and things like that. But I mean, when Victoria Hammer was heard on tape to have said these things, it was the basis for which reason you people asked.
No. Victoria Hammer own is the worst thing that any government would even tolerate.
This is.
I saw some people trying to trivialize it. She was just wishing to have 1 million of posters.
Saka,
the person is saying that I am in government until I get that 1 million.
The person is saying that we should remove the IGP so that you can break the 8. That is what is on the tape.
But you
are trivializing the matter.
No.
It hinges on the democracy.
That is what I'm saying. That
no, I wanted you to let him finish with the Victoria Hammer thing that he was adding salt and pepper to. Then you can now. I mean, why did Victoria Hammer say I'm in government and until I make 1 million at all costs?
No, listen.
Why?
And that said until she makes 1 million. In government,
she's so
she's not.
I see that's a lie.
She's not going.
That's the
listen. I'm saying something.
You
see, until she makes that money, she's not going to.
That's a lie. You're lying.
She's not going to challenge any superior.
Saka,
you are lying. It means that if Ghana is burning,
please, you are a gentleman.
Listen. If Ghana is burning,
see, don't make your
and
point.
then you think that if you listen.
Maybe you don't know. No, give him just a minute.
Give me a minute.
Just make his point.
Give me a minute. Lie.
No, you see,
proceed.
It's Victoria Hammer.
I mean, do you have a school that they teach you this in your party or what?
You are the school. Is it contrary? Is it contrary? They have a school.
Oh,
How
still
to
Victoria
lie.
Hammer.
Ironically, you people have a school. We don't have a school.
Okay.
You have a school in your headquarters.
Yeah, that's why we don't
when
lie.
you
We teach morals
you teach
and ethics.
propaganda, how to lie.
Teach moral and
How to
ethics
say
and
how to say a black goat is a white goat and those things. You know you people. So I'm saying you see you talk about Victoria Hamilton and all those. I don't even know why you brought it.
No,
but I'm saying
I
that
brought it
He's
because
saying that Victoria Hammer was fighting with his colleague, her colleague, and then she says that, oh, me, I don't even mind her. Me, I'm
she
focused
said
on making.
to get 1 million.
I'm focused on making 1 million guys instead of fighting petty fights.
So why would
And then based on that,
No.
you said you should be sacked.
What I'm saying,
And then now you have somebody saying that,
listen,
help me remove the IGP and make me IGP, else you can't break the 8 and say, oh, that one is.
at that time she was clamoring to get 1 million. If you add her salary,
Is it
for
bad to
20
dream?
years,
Is it bad to dream?
if you add her salaries, so if it's not bad to dream, why are you saying that those who are dreaming of becoming IGP, they should be investigated and dealt with?
No, their dream is based on what they want to use it to do, to remove IGP and
No,
break the 8.
they are not going to remove.
No, okay, to get
have the power to
IGP.
remove
Okay, so
IGP.
they are dreaming to be IGP, so they break the 8. That's where the crime is.
But we are saying that we are not even going to do that.
That's where the crime is,
are
to
not
break
even going to
the
do that.
8.
Okay, but no. Breaking 8 is not a crime.
Oh, doing it willingly.
No, I'm telling you,
As
breaking
IGP,
breaking
you are not going to allow the people to decide if they want the 8 or not.
No, let me end this.
You are going to use your power as IGP to break the 8 for a party, and that's not illegal.
Listen, if in their words, maybe IGP, the current IGP is doing something that does not favor or that disfavor MPP, or that ignore to the disadvantage of MPP, and they are coming to even the playing grounds, and somebody break the 8. What's wrong with that?
All right, thank you very much.
Like the Asinov.
Let me read it.
Like they were using the Asinov example. It was based on what the IGP was doing.
Respectfully.
Yes.
Like they were using the Asinov example. The IGP was doing something in Asinov. That was.
So this one, a special good morning going out to Nana Poku Ajiman from Achem Masi. I've been watching you, a strong supporter of the NDC. You say you live in Achem Masi, and you are watching us this morning. A special good morning going out to you.
Good morning to her.
Yeah. And my time is up, but thank you very much, Honorable Suyini. Thank you very much, Saka Salia. And thank you to you, the viewers, for spending your morning with me. I'm grateful.
Didn't say she would make 1 million at all costs.
Okay, well, so I'll see you guys
Even
tomorrow.
though she dreamt, Cecilia Dapa's bedroom is Bank of Ghana.
All right, I'll see you guys
And
tomorrow.
yet he's here doing mathematics, that 12 months of her salary. But I won't do that for Cecilia Dapa.
Right, thank you.
12 months of her salary.
I'll see you.